Sure.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the show today. Welcome to LOVE+RELO, the voice of the relocation industry. I am your host, Ben Cross, and I'm so blessed and honored today to be here for a very special program. We've got the WERC Momentum Mentorship Program in the house.
Woo-hoo.
This is fantastic. We got Sandy McKinney, Sandy Beyer, and don't call me Sandy, Erika Escalante. This is like a dream team here we got here.
Yeah. And of course you, Ben. Come on.
You know, they're used to that. But hey, y'all are a special treat. Hey, get in the comments, y'all. Let us know who you are, where you are. Where are y'all coming to me from right now? Sandy Beyer, where you at right now?
I am in Arizona.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Is it 100 yet or no?
Not today, but it has been already. I don't think we got a winter, but you know, loving it.
Yeah. Awesome. And Erika, where are you?
Also not very far from Sandy. I'm in Phoenix as well. So also enjoying a sunny day today.
Very cool. And Sandy McKinney, where are you at today?
Well, you know, I'm here in the Midwest, here in St. Louis, Missouri, a cool 45 degrees.
Oh, man.
For, you know, for those of you that want to put a jacket on, we still are there.
Yeah.
But enjoying it, enjoying the sunshine today.
Yeah, and look, Sharina's checking in. Get in the comments, y'all. Hit that like button. Let us know who you are, where you are. We're talking mentorship. This is a phenomenal program that WERC's putting together, and we're going to learn all about it today. We got Greg Hoover checking in. Cheers from sunny Evansville. Hey, Ben, and my all-time fave, Sandy.
With an S.
Yeah, doing Sandy plural today. Everyone loves Sandy so much. Like, what? The only thing better would be two Sandys, and we deliver. Okay,
and we have them.
Mel checking in. Looks like some mighty special ladies there. Yes, checking in from gloomy South Florida. Gloomy South Florida.
I heard it was raining down there. Yeah.
Janice Lopez checking in. Where in South Florida? What's gloomy down there? Is it rainy season? Yeah, I want to know a little bit about this program, though. Can you tell us a little bit about the WERC Momentum Mentorship Program, Sandy Beyer?
Yeah, absolutely. I absolutely love this program. It's different than your traditional mentorship that is like the hierarchical type mentorship. It is a pod. It is leadership. It is working together. It is presentations. So it's a very non-traditional mentorship type program, but it's very fulfilling and you get a lot out of it in so many different ways.
I love that you're talking about workshops and stuff because so often mentorship programs are kind of unstructured a little bit. And like Sandy McKinney, like what are your thoughts on structure versus unstructured? You know, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, that's kind of an interesting question, Ben, because when you think of mentoring, most people think of it as a one-on-one, somewhat structured, but it's pretty organic, right?
Mm-hmm.
We take into consideration what your needs are and what some of the challenges you're particularly facing. But in this cohort that we've put together here for the Momentum program is in, like Sandy indicated, into pods. So teams of individuals that have come together with a team of mentors that are helping them through this process. And that has to be a little bit more structured. It has to be a little bit more collaboration, if you will. And I think the biggest difference here is making sure that we create a platform that everyone's voice is heard. And then from there, creating an opportunity for the actual mentees to be able to really come up with some creative ideas where the mentors are kind of keeping them within some guardrails, but not necessarily, here's what happened to me. And here's what could happen to you if you follow that same type of path. And so that's what I think is uniquely different about this program.
I love it. I love it. I want to dig more into that a little bit in the format here. I see people getting in the comments. Y'all get into the comments. Let us know who you are, where you are, and I'm going to ask you one question for the comments. What's an indispensable piece of advice or life-changing aha moment you got from being mentored? Rob Morehouse, I see you. Good day. Good day. Good day from Reno. Well, that's my Australian. I hope it translates. Jorge Flores. Hey, hello, everybody. What's up? This is cool. Oh, our good friend Darren, excited to listen to powerhouse individuals in our industry. Darren, what's a piece of indispensable wisdom you got from a mentor? Super interested to hear that. Greg Hoover, strong lineup today, Ben. Love it. Yeah, this is great. We got the link here. Thank you, Sharina, for putting the link in here. I appreciate that. We got a question, get in here too with questions, y'all. We got a couple questions. We're gonna take questions as well as we do this here. And then I want to hear a little bit more about your specific areas of focus. Sharina says, when did everyone join the Momentum Mentorship Program? Let's go around the horn here. Erika, you want to start?
Yeah, for sure. So I actually joined last year, which was our inaugural year. So I've been joining as part of the committee side. So I'm hoping possibly next year to join as a mentee. But it's been now our second year. I think it's exciting just to see how much it's grown in just a few months. And I'm really excited to see what's to come. I think we have a great cohort of mentees and mentors this year. So I'm really excited to see what they come up with.
And, Erika, you mentioned joining as a mentee. How do you decide if you want to join on the committee, if you want to join as a mentee, if you want to join as a mentor? Like, I always struggle with that, right? Like, which side am I on?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, great question. Yeah, so I think we have, as mentioned, committee members involved in work as a whole, especially in the emerging leaders sector. So I think David and Jennifer originally started the program last year, and they're part of the emerging leaders cohort. So some of that participation kind of led to my committee participation here. But as far as for the mentors or mentees, for mentors, we're usually looking for senior or C-suite level executives who have experience in the global mobility industry and just want to give back and stay connected with the newer generation of mobility professionals that we have. I think it's a really exciting group. And it's great to always pass on to those entering the industry the great wisdom that they have. So I think if you think you have some wisdom to pass on, which I think most and all people do, that would be kind of the mentor side. And for the mentees, there's really no age restriction or anything. And there's some with, just have a year in the industry. There's some that have, over 10 years of experience, but they're just looking to learn more and get some of that wisdom from those mentors and more senior level professionals in the industry. So as long as you're looking to make a connection, I think that's the real prerequisite. Otherwise, I think most and all are welcome.
Love it. Love it. And Sandy, how did you get involved in the Momentum Mentorship Program? Sorry. Yes, Sandy Beyer.
Okay.
So they prepped me for this and I blew it. Okay. My first chance. Okay. I was like, I totally blew it. Yes, there are two Sandy Beyer.
I'll get, okay. So I've also been, started with the inaugural year last year. I started on the content committee with my great content co-chair, Kelsey Woolley. Anybody know her? Shout out. She's phenomenal. And then this year I moved into program chair. So I'm overseeing content committee and then as well as the ops and logistics committee. And I just, again, going back to what I said originally about this being non-traditional. So Ben, you said, like, how do you decide if you're a mentor or a mentee? I mean, mentorship is 360, right? Like we can all learn something from somebody at some point. So either we're sharing learnings or we're getting learnings, but it is definitely 360. So you're probably on both sides of that coin at some point in your journey. So
how do you create that dynamic? Because a lot of times you go in with a set, like, okay, these are the mentees and these are the mentors, and it goes kind of one way, but you're right. A really good relationship kind of goes both ways, and, Sandy and I have that kind of relationship. I mean, she still teaches me more than I teach her, but, I think a healthy one kind of does go that way. So how do you create that dynamic?
I mean, I think for me, it's like just being open to it. Like, don't go in like I am the mentor, I know everything. You're going to potentially lose out on a lot. So, it's just having that mindset of this is a mentorship and mentorship is 360. So hopefully I learn something as much as I'm providing guidance and mentorship.
Makes sense. Sandy McKinney, how'd you get involved with the program?
Well, I'm like the ladies here. This is the second season that I've been involved. I work with Jennifer Rodriguez, so
Yes.
she kind of tapped me on the shoulder and said, "We would love for you to work with LaMonica Hummel as far as being the, if you will, the support team for the mentors last time. And then this year, it's expanded into not just the mentors, but also the mentees. So we're just another sounding board that questions can be asked, information can be exchanged. But more than anything, I think what's really important, Ben, with what the dialogue, that the question you ask is, how do you decide which side of the room do you want to stand in? Well,
Right.
I think we all, like everybody has said, Sandy and Erica said, it just really depends on where you're at. And I also think it depends on what you're looking to achieve. Because, Ben, you know this, you and I have talked many times. There may be a time in our career that we need additional mentorship for whatever that next step is in our
Right.
career or in life where I'm at right now. It doesn't necessarily mean we stop learning from that. If we're continuous learners, which I know we all are, then we're continuing to, evolve in that mentorship. Let it be, whomever you're working with, let alone from the emerging leaders in the industry that are always looking to say, hey, I'd love a hand up at this. And that's where it really can take off, is when it starts working in both directions. And it's, I'm retired 42 years in this industry, and I still get coached 3 times a month. So we're constantly wanting to do something in that
Yeah.
area. Yeah.
No, that's really great, because I mean, I totally identify with that, right? Because I totally love coaching and sharing, what I know and my experiences with other people. But just yesterday, I called my mentor twice because I was working through something, and I was just like, "Hey, I need some time," and then we got cut short, and then I was like, and then he was like, "Yeah, call me tomorrow, call me tonight," we just talked through some things, and you're right,
Mhm.
people, depending on depending on the day of the week, or where I'm at in my career, or what I'm trying to accomplish. Sometimes I'm in a giving mode where I'm like, hey, I got stuff I got some things to
Mhm.
share. And then sometimes I'm like, hey, I need answers. I need somebody that's done this before, How,
Mhm.
and so I'm really kind of curious, and get in the comments, y'all. I see some great comments coming up here. And let us know kind of what's one thing that you learned from being mentored, or your experience in it. But I want to ask you, how do you pair people for
Mhm.
maximum impact? I'm really curious about that. I feel like there's got to be some really cool curation going on there. I'm really curious about that secret sauce. Who wants to take that?
Yeah, Sandy, why don't you take that one?
Well, it's interesting. We get there's like an intake form that people sign up with their interest. And then there's a committee that kind of looks at those interests and experience and um, industries, all those types of things, all the variables, and then takes that information and compiles that pod.
So like, are you trying to match industries, or are you trying to create like a diversity of experiences?
A diversity of experiences,
Mhm.
Okay.
for
So
sure.
somebody might be like in corporate housing, somebody might be an RMC, somebody might be a corporate
Absolutely.
person, and you're trying to
Mhm.
do that. Is there a common thread, or is there a commonality that you do look for to bind these people, or really just the more diverse, the better?
I mean, I do think it's a little bit of both, right? Like, so if the committee that's putting the pods together happen to know, like, the people who've applied, and they know, like, oh, this would be a really great pair. I mean, that's always an element. That's definitely a variable. I don't know that that's the case in every time. I don't know that the committee members know everybody that's applied, but certainly whenever you can find that, it's a good thing.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And it was
Interesting.
really interesting this time too, Ben. The mentees, there are some repeat mentees that went through the program last year, which I find very interesting. And that just says they want to learn more, right? And they have a lot to offer to the first time mentees. But there are a lot of very young, into the industry. I don't mean age, I just mean into the industry, that are eager to learn, and they're coming in with their eyes wide open on this. And I think it's going to be amazing what we see out of it.
Yeah, I love it. We got a couple comments here. Jorge Flores says the program is it So Jorge or George, I got to ask. The program is awesome. I joined a session last year as a contributor, but also found a lot discussing, also learned a lot discussing great ideas. Definitely worth it. Very cool. Tessa Boone checking in. Hello to everyone. Special shout out to Sandy's.
Hey, Tessa.
Very
Miss you,
cool.
my friend.
Love Tessa.
Mhm.
Jillian's all in on it. Jill, Sharina stole your question, Jill. Okay, you got to go back to the drawing board. All right. Inez checking in. Hello from San Francisco. People are giving us the update from South Florida. It's kind of wet and look at that, Fort Lauderdale.
Yeah.
Greg Hoover, this is an outstanding program, and it's awesome to see from form given to something so important. Sandy has always been has such a great heart for mentorship and giving back. I'd love to hear how she evolved to that. What was that journey like towards this, Sandy, this passion you have?
Well, the short version is you and I were on this, Tessa being on the show is kind of interesting because she was the one that introduced me to you.
Yep.
And that was back in 2020, right? And we were going through those times, and it was really interesting. I said at that time, because your team reached out to me and said, well, what do you want to talk about? And I go, I want to talk about something different. I want to talk about me. I don't want to talk about my company. I want to talk about, giving back to the industry. And that's exactly how I started to really take off. I had individually mentored probably about a half a dozen other people up to that point. And then you were so gracious, Ben, to give us the platform to do additional shows that then we coordinated and were able to roll out. And it took off to some level, but not to the level that this program has. And that's what's so really cool about this program is the fact that we finally have the platform within the industry at work. And now we have this great team that Sandy and her team have put together as this program. And that is really what this industry needed. We needed this platform in order to extend it out and to really think outside the box and say, this isn't Ben and Sandy working together. This is a group of individuals that are collaborating together to come up with ideas and solutions for the industry, and then take it forward. And I commend Sandy. I commend, Jennifer and David for what they started last year. And I mean, dozens of people that have volunteered to be involved in this. And then the individuals that raise their hands to be actively a mentor or a mentee. It's amazing to see this thing unfold.
And I want to talk a little bit more about the structure and dig into it. And we got some more comments coming in. Keep the comments coming in and your questions for the group. And I want to ask folks in the comments, but I'm also going to ask you all kind of a personal question here. So we're going to get a little vulnerable, maybe, I don't know. But I want to ask you, what's one thing you learned through mentorship that really kind of impacted your life or the way you look at things? How, something maybe that changed you a little bit. I'd be really curious to know, and I'm happy to share maybe one or two of mine, but I think people love stories, so I'd love to hear that if anybody would like to go.
Yeah, I can maybe go first. So I know something that made a huge impact for me was just the advice to put myself out there and really become more involved in the industry. Because I, tend to be a little bit more introverted and maybe not the first one to just go out to everyone, shake everyone's hands and such. But I think I really have grown into being more of the person that will more than happy now and not don't shy away from introducing myself to people and just being involved, making those connections, being involved in work as an organization, including the mentorship program, has really just helped expand, I think, my world and standing and really make such a difference, especially since I've often been part of smaller teams just internally for my company. So it's good to have a little bit more of an expanded network. And I've just been seeing the connection, especially if you're traveling for different sessions and events and such, being able to see familiar faces makes such an impact. And I can recommend it more just to put yourself out there.
I love that. I love that so much. Can you tell us what that's done for you?
I mean, I think for myself, mostly it's just, it helps in every way. I mean, everything comes down to relationship building. I mean, I do sales as part of my day-to-day job. And so it's just been helping me to really nurture and establish more deeper relationships with the connections that I'm making and actually being, genuine. I think we're on the people business. So I think being in this business, it's really been great to see how nice everyone is. It's such a welcoming industry as well. So it just has helped me just have I think, better experience overall, better communication, and I think really make myself kind of feel like I'm a part of the full industry and I'm participating in it. Yeah.
I absolutely love that, Erica. Thank you for sharing that.
Mhm.
And one of my passions is when this is how we started Glomo, and this is how we started, our consulting business, but like watching what we call like best kept secrets, like move from best kept secret to just best. And then all of that is really just about putting it out there and letting people know it. And whether it's a person or a company or a product or a service or whatever. And I really applaud you for that, Erica. And
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
so glad to get to know you more now.
Yeah, definitely.
Sandy's.
Please, Sandy.
Sandy Beyer.
Oh, thank you, Sandy.
What's
I'll take that.
a piece of advice or something that's changed you through mentorship?
Yeah, I mean, I do want to echo a little bit of what Erica said that really resonated with me. I'm also an introvert, and 20 years ago when I started in mobility, I was the only one at my company who did it. So I had somebody say, just go in and talk to at least one person, and then you can leave. Right? Like I had to get a pep talk from the parking lot to go into an industry event. I was so overwhelmed. And
That's
going in and
awesome.
finding that one person, and then the next time, finding that person and then being introduced to other people. So the power of the network and just, being able to build that, helping with benchmarking and brainstorming and workshopping and all these kinds of things is just tremendous from a personal and professional perspective. I think something that I've learned just with mentoring in general is really being open to it and really being able to pay it forward. So I grew up underprivileged, not a lot of here's what you should do with your life. So I kind of had a really tough journey. And I then got a mentor, and it really made a big difference. And so I'm really involved in a lot of youth mentorship because I feel like if I had had that younger, my path might not have been so difficult. So, just really being aware of the gifts that you have and the guidance that you can give, and really being open and willing to share that and then receiving that as well.
That's beautiful. I love that, Sandy.
Thank you.
I remember studying in school, and they talk about, when you grow up in certain neighborhoods and your neighbors are doctors and lawyers, and then you grow up in other neighborhoods and that's not the case. And you look around you kind of stand outside and you're kind of like, okay, what's within my, what's reasonable for me to expect in my life, and you look at the models around you and you're like, okay, well, if I don't know anybody, or how do I get that first internship, or how do I get that first, pull that first thread, what's that going to be? And it sounds like you're being that for other people. That's really cool.
I'm hoping. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you're doing it. You're here.
Absolutely.
Super cool. Thanks for sharing that, Sandy
Of
Beyer.
course.
Sandy McKinney, you want to share something that you've
Yeah,
done?
I'll share a little bit. Ben, a little bit of my journey here, but bottom line is when I was at a point in my career where I had joined Weichert, and I really looked at my career in the industry very differently at that point. I really began to get involved with my coaching at that. And what I was taught very early on, we have, and Ben, this, we have 6 human needs, right? Uncertainty, certainty, love and connection, significance, and then growth and contribution. And my coach said to me at that time, what of those 6 human needs is driving you? And a lot of us in sales, and a lot of us in a certain point of our life, and especially if you've advanced in your career, you look at contribution sometimes, and sometimes you look at significance, and other times you look at maybe certainty or uncertainty, however you look at the world. And from that, we always have love and connection sitting out there. And it's like, is that being nurtured at that same time? And so for me, what was happening was that coach was helping me understand where I sat at that point in my career and at that point in my life. And we began to work together. And as I evolved into the next few years with wonderful success at WERC, I was at a position where it was like, okay, it's coming near to the time of retirement. And I told my coach, being very vulnerable, I told my coach, I'm looking to retire here in the next year or so. And she very quickly told me, Sandy, you are so far away from retiring, you shouldn't even be putting that out there into the universe.
Why?
And I just said, what do you mean I'm not ready for retirement? And she said, all of your needs, and this really was hard for my spouse, but all of your needs are being fulfilled by your job. And I was like, oh my, what does that look like? And when I sat with that for a long time, it was like, well, how am I going to change that? And so that was my evolution of understanding where I wanted to be. And it took me probably a good 2.5 years to get to a point where I knew my life was going to be totally different in retirement as it is today. And that I had to have different outlooks upon that of how those needs were going to be met. And so that's what changed me. And that's what really began my work with other mentees was, all right, what's important? Because a 35-year-old could come to us and say, this is important that I continue to advance in my career. And I said, well, is that the only thing that's important? Or are you open to relationships? What type of relationships? And when we start talking about love and connection, and we start talking about significance, because if you look at life through the lens of having certainty and significance in everything you do, you're never going to be fulfilled. And that's what I was taught. And then from there, it kept evolving. Think about that. I know you're thinking, Ben, because I am
thinking. So you're saying that's not enough, or that's not.
You are never going to be satisfied if you think your significance and your certainty in life are what's driving you. And that was so interesting to me because those were driving me quite a bit in my career 5 years ago. And so 5-6 years ago. And so from there, what's so interesting, I retired on June 30th of 2025. And I think it was like April 15th, no, not April, July 15th, my coach came to me and said, okay, well, Sandy, now that you're retired, how is your significance being fulfilled? And I thought I was like flying on the face of the earth because I was newly retired and I was traveling and I had 9 trips scheduled and all this. And I just was on the phone and I said, Kareem, why did you have to ask me that question? Because think about that for a minute, where you're at. So that's the vulnerability of saying to yourself, where are you today and where do you want to be? So how do you get there in a mentorship? You ask the hard questions. You ask the hard questions. And that was one of the things I shared with the mentors a couple of weeks ago when we met was you can, create the guardrails, but you need to ask the difficult questions so that they can start figuring out the answers themselves.
Wow, so much there to unpack there. But I'm going to take off where you left off, which is, about asking the right questions. I mean, God, that's my job right now. It's like always trying to find the right question to ask. And like, that's the hardest part of the whole thing. So do you prime the mentors or the mentees with these questions? I mean, because it's so important.
Well, it's important that they understand that's what their role is. That's what's important. And so for me, as I mentor others, it's important for me to say to them, what's the driver behind this? Are you really happy here? Is this where your goal is in the future? What is exactly do you visualize yourself to be? And it's so interesting. I mean, it is so very interesting when we look at designing our lives as we each set our goals for that next year. And these cohorts are the same way. They're going to set their goal to win this contest, if you will, about this program. So what does that look like for them? And, there's some great mentees that have been through it. They've won it. they're going to have a totally different perspective than the ones that haven't been through it. But that's what our job is, to continue to ask the questions so that they can start to evolve those solutions that they're wanting to do.
You mentioned the contest, and I want to ask about the contest. Tell me about this contest, because usually these relationships are just like, hey, I'm mentor, mentee, you guys chat in in private, and kind of, whatever, and it is what it is, and it's just kind of like that. But what is this contest about? I feel like y'all really up the ante with this.
Please, ladies.
Yeah, I can take that. So it's really about a couple of things, right? It's like about this mentorship and this learning, working as a team, presentation skills, all these things that I mentioned before. But there's also a little bit of how are we going to help the industry, right? Like, again, I'm very much on the what can we do that's like out of the traditional mode.
I love
Like,
that.
landscape is changing, we got to change with it, and there's so many things that we get stuck in the traditional way of doing things. So like our theme this year is like redefining mobility through high impact partnerships. And I remember when we first talked about it, but we all partner and we're great at partnering and we've got great partnerships. And yes,
Right.
we do. But in some cases, there's still gaps, or there's still opportunities to tidy up, or to bring more people in to that partnership. And so the pods this year are thinking through that theme, and trying to come up with ways that can help really strengthen partnerships, whether it's corporates and suppliers, or suppliers and suppliers and sub-suppliers and more suppliers, and instead of everybody doing their one intake, or one person doing the intake and then filtering it out, like how do we get out of doing those things that way? And so when they come up with their idea, they do practice presentation. There's a group of judges that give feedback. Then after the feedback, they do a final presentation. And from that, the top 3 are selected to then do live presentations at ERC. And then there's a panel of judges that votes on the best concept, and then they win the season.
So live presentations at work in Chicago, like on
Yeah.
stage, like Shark Tank. Like, I mean, what are we doing here?
Yeah, a little bit. And I can tell you the presentations last year were just, I think, blew everybody away.
Yeah.
It was, there were 3 amazing concepts, and there were even more than that, let's be honest. Like, it was really hard to pick the final 3. But, some amazing concepts. And again, just, pitching, hey, here's a new way of doing things. Here's a way to kind of break out of that traditional way we do things that's really going to be meaningful. And I think they also had a lot of fun doing it, kind of just getting up there with a lot of them had matching t-shirts, and, their slide presentations were really fun and engaging. So I thought it was a great session.
This is so wonderful. I mean, we talk about, where is the next generation of talent coming from in our industry, and what's that pipeline like, and how do we attract talent? And I think it's maybe even less about attracting the talent and more about like, how do we cultivate it and like grow it when it's here, right? Because let's be honest, I mean, every company has the next generation. The question is it going to stick around? Is it going to find its way and really latch on and make this industry its own the way that we all have? And I think that's the challenge. And so I think this is such a cool opportunity for people to really dig in and think deeply and kind of create those relationships and those touch points, and then add some significance to their own, talk about significance, right, Sandy? I mean, the opportunity to get on stage at work in Chicago is like, I mean, that's a pretty big deal.
And you never know who's going to be in the audience when you do. It could be your future boss that's sitting out there. It could
happened to me.
It's happened to a lot of us. And what I think is really cool about this session is the fact that the team has brought together during, we have asked the experts. We're going to have people collaborate in that. It's going to help educate the mentors as they're developing their idea and such. And those are great workshops, but we've also added a workshop on presentation skills. And, I told this story just the other day that when I was back in my early 30s, I worked for a bank here in St. Louis, Boatman's Bank. I know Greg Hoover knows that. And Boatman's Bank had a relocation company, and I worked for this small relocation company for this big bank. And do you know, my foundation of my presentation skills were from that bank, because that bank built my foundation back in the 30s. And that was 35 plus years ago. And bottom line at that point is, that's what I keep saying to people, use the platform that this great team has put out there. And I told every mentee, I said, don't miss that session, because that session could begin the foundation of what your future could be like.
That's so cool. That's so cool. I remember when I was on a young professionals panel at the American Moving and Storage Association. Gosh, I mean, 10, maybe 12 years ago, and I was sitting up there and we're talking about how to market to millennials. And I was like, that was back when millennials were Gen Z, right? And it's like, oh, the kids these days, and what do we do with them, whatever. And so I was apparently the voice of kids these days. And so I'm up there, talking about this kind of, honestly, it felt like a kind of a ridiculous topic, but whatever. I'm up there taking my opportunity to get some airtime. And sure enough, in the crowd was a recruiter, and my future, she was the owner of the moving company that I worked for, that I got recruited by. And I didn't know. It was an audition. I mean, I didn't know it was an audition, but I was auditioning for my next job. And apparently I did all right, and so, you just never know who's watching, and people are always watching, but it's not in a scary way. It's in a
Well, and that's
supportive
what's
way.
cool about the mentors too, because they get the opportunity to help shape the mentees as they're going through this process, and not just lift them up and guide them with their knowledge base, but then open up an opportunity that could potentially, change their career.
Yeah. I love it. Can y'all each talk about your functional, like, kind of committee responsibilities and kind of what you do end to end in your role or your committee? Can we just kind of go around the horn there? I'll start with Sandy Beyer down bottom.
Yeah, so I am one of the program chairs, and I oversee the content committee. So we come up with like the theme and the workshops. So our keynote this year was a gentleman, Matt Gromberg. I don't know if any of you know him. He is in the industry, does moving for universities. I would look him up. Ben, you talked about Shark Tank. He did a Shark Tank pitch.
Oh, wow.
It was really impressive. So he was our keynote, really kicked us off in an exciting, engaging way. We also have the Ask an Expert workshop that Sandy was mentioning, and presentation skills. So the content committee really has come up with all of that. And then the operations and logistics committee also I oversee is helping with kind of the best practices playbook for the committees, making sure that any of the operational like milestones people are keeping track of, and setting up for the workshops and for the live session.
Okay, so you're making it happen over there. And Erika, tell me a little bit about what your committee does and what your responsibility is.
Yeah, of course. So I'm a part of the communications committee. So we oversee internal and external communication. So from the internal side is communicating to participants, milestone dates, sending out email reminders for the different workshops and such, and then just working with the other committees primarily to what messaging they're needing to get out there. And then externally, we also oversee, we have the WERC Momentum Mentorship Program LinkedIn page. So definitely encourage everyone to give us a follow.
Go follow
and that's
that.
where, yeah. And so that's where we're sharing most of the updates. So definitely would encourage, both from the great keynote speaker that and session that Matt did for us. So we did a highlight there. And then also we're going to be highlighting a little bit of what some of the participants from last year learned and kind of the great successes that they've had. So we're just trying to spread the word. As we mentioned, this is just the second year of the program. So we're just looking to spread awareness and let the industry know that we're here. And I think given from the amount of applications and participants that we have this year, it's getting out there, which is really exciting. So we're just looking to continue with that momentum.
Yeah, and I was going to And I was going to ask you, Erika and Sandy Beyer, if you could have, if someone's watching this and like, wow, this sounds incredible, like I want to get involved, you know, is there opportunities to get involved still this year, or, you know, maybe next year? You know, how would someone get involved maybe with your committee, or like where could you use some help?
Yeah, I mean, we're always definitely looking for, there's different speakers that the committees and the workshops will invite to attend and kind of speak on different topics. And then we're also never too early to just put in your name as far as an interest for any, whether being a committee member or being a participant. That way we can start early. And then of course, we're always looking for sponsors. I think within that, we're going to be great to just help us support the program and just spread awareness in all the sessions that we're doing this year. So I think
What
that
type
would
of
be
Oh, sorry, Erika, but what type of sponsorships are you talking about? Can you give me an example?
Yeah, we just have two levels of sponsorship. So I think we have a platinum and a gold. And primarily there is just very smaller donations for companies just to both have their logos and information as part of the program and just really highlight their commitment to mentorship in the industry as a whole and helping that newer generation of leaders expand. So, and most of it is using, of course, for the program. It heads off with the final presentations at the WERC program. So we also offer some support for those members that maybe don't have an active WERC membership. So we can also help support them financially, and then also helping with hopefully just the program as a whole.
So
spread
yeah, so where do I go to get more information on these sponsorships? Because Sharina wants to sponsor the session or you know, the program.
Yeah, that'd be great. So we have our website. It's a page underneath the WERC, so talenteverywhere.org/membership and then /mentorship. So I think we'll put the link in the comments here for you all, but that's where you'll see both deadline dates, sponsorship program. There's a form you can fill out for more information. And then also I'll include our email for the mentorship program. Also, it's mentorship@talenteverywhere.org. So you can always send us any question, suggestions, anything is welcome.
All right, awesome. I may have to, Glomo may have to sponsor this event. I don't know. I gotta see how much it is. I gotta see if it's in the budget, Sandy. I don't know. You know?
Yeah.
I think
man.
you
Show us
should.
that money.
I need to have an abundance mindset, right, Sandy? I need to just, just sow some
You
seeds
know
out
it.
here.
You know it. You know it.
Sandy's taught me about mindset. Yeah, you were saying?
So I was just going to add on to that we do have the Ask an Expert workshop coming up. So anybody who feels like they want to contribute in that way, what we're going to do is, the pods will let us know which verticals that they're interested in getting more information from on their concept. And then during the workshop, those experts will be able to lend their expertise to that concept.
Okay. And so how will we know what the opportunities are for speaking and joining those pods?
So there was already a interest form that was sent out. I believe that's still available on the website.
Okay.
And so, sign up there or send an email to the email address that Erika already mentioned. And, just let us know that you're interested in participating as an expert.
Okay. Sharina, can we put that email? I think it's mentorship@talenteverywhere.org or com?
Org.
Org?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Sharina. Sharina's doing awesome over here.
Absolutely.
And Sandy McKinney, can you tell me a little bit about like your function and like what you do?
Sure. LaMonica and I, we are co-chairs on the support committee, which is really helping the mentors and now this year the mentees and just staying informed to see where the challenges might be, see what's working. I know like last year, Tom Wagner was one of the leads on one of the mentor teams. I think in fact, one of the teams that won. And he was always giving good insight on how he was challenging his pod and what was going on. So those calls are right now once a month. We do those calls for each of those different groups. And then as we get closer to the presentations and the deadlines in September, we'll meet a little bit more frequently if there's challenges on how to get, a message delivered or something of that nature. So there's a lot of resources out there. It's a matter of how they're being communicated and really collaborating as mentors, even though it is a competition. So that's what's unique about this program. And I think everybody likes a little competition, right?
Yeah.
But it's about how we can help each other. And the teams have been great. The pods have been really, I would say not just excited, but very willing to provide that information to each other.
How many pods are there?
There's 16 this year.
That's a lot. How many people are in each pod, approximately?
Yeah, it's what, 3 to 4 on each.
That's
Yeah,
a lot of
think about-
people.
Yeah. And that's just the mentee
The
side. And then,
mentees.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then the mentors, there's 2 to 3 on each pod. Yeah. So there's a lot of people involved in this program.
Wow, that's really
Yeah,
impressive,
well,
honestly.
there's going to be some fallout, but if I was somebody who says, "Oh, this sounds interesting. I'd love to learn more about. I'd love to get involved." I would say, one, talk to your leadership team, because the leadership teams can not only just give the sponsorship dollars, but more importantly, can support it for your company to support it with people to participate.
Yeah.
That's important. And then thirdly is to get involved for the next cohort, because they're going to continue season. They call them seasons.
Yep.
So they're going to continue season after season with people like LaMonica and I are rolling off after our 2-year commitment, because that's what we've asked everybody to do, is a 2-year commitment. And then you can roll into another role, or you could just roll off and watch the program unfold, which I think is just so exciting.
Yeah, that's cool when you can, what they say, that's the mark of leadership too, right? It's like when you step away and it still continues to run well and becomes its own
Exactly.
thing, its own feet under it.
Exactly.
So how have things changed from season 1 to season 2? I love the concept of seasons. I always joke about Love and Relo having seasons. How have things changed from season 1 to season 2?
What have you seen, ladies?
Yeah, I think the size of the program has been really great. So I think that just leads to the greater diversity in each of these pods, where we have also now global pods as well. I think last year we had a few global participants, but primarily it was North America based. But
Right.
This year we've gone global. And I think more so it's just been the energy, I think, of everyone. I think having seen how great last year was and those presentations, you mentioned Shark Tank, Ben, I think that's a great way to phrase these. I think everyone comes up and does their pitch, and it just really, it's been great just to see maybe everyone's thought processes expand and already have some ideas as to what they want to do this year. So for me, I think that's been the biggest takeaway.
Yeah, I definitely echo that as far as, last year was the first year, right? So not everything went smoothly and there was a lot of scrambling around. And so I think we're a little more steady state this year, although there's still some learnings. But I think the biggest thing was that awareness. We did have a lot of drop off last year because people weren't quite sure what it meant when they signed up. They're like, mentorship. Oh, again, traditional, hierarchical, one-on-one. And so they weren't quite sure. And so they stepped away. But we've had those people actually want to join this year because they saw what the results were and the output and those presentations. And it is really exciting and engaging. So I think that those are a couple of the big things. Like we've got our feet under us a little bit more now, and things are going smooth. We were able to expand our time frame as well. Last year it was really short. And so we had 2 workshops and everybody was kind of rushed, and the presentations were almost back to back between the practice and the final presentations. And now we have more time. So we're having 3 workshops. There's a little bit more time between the presentations, which I think is another big factor to people being able to feel like they can really contribute this year.
And we started in February, which made a difference because last year we started in the middle of peak season, and it was hard on a lot of people, as you can imagine.
Right.
This goes through till October for the symposium, but at the same point, it gives a much bigger time frame. And Sandy's so right. It gives people the ability to have the momentum, but at the same point, it's not pressing up against their job and what their roles are internally within their corporation as a supplier or as a corporate representative. We all have demands. And so that's just takes the pressure off a little bit.
That's always the hard part when you do these kind of extracurriculars, right? It's like, hey, don't let it affect your day job, right? I mean, that's one thing Kerwin always used to talk about, job one, right? And it's like, it's cool to do this stuff, and we got to be respectful of people's time, because I tell you what, these regionals, these committees, I mean, they can really take a lot of time, if you don't manage it right. But it sounds like what people are getting out of it though is super cool, and I'm glad to see that once people saw the final product, and the output of it, that it invigorated them to do it and to join. Daisy's got a question for us. I just think it's such a cool question because it kind of ties in and it goes back to kind of some learnings and storytelling and everything. But Daisy says, what's something you wish someone had told you earlier in your career? Such a good question. I love these questions.
That's a good question.
Trying to think. That is a great question.
I'll go first. I got a lot of good early career advice because I used to actually be the guy at the bar that would ask people this question, and people would look at me like I'm crazy. Like, can't you just socialize? But I think that I wish I was told maybe that people are always watching, and they always remember, and it's like, so just like know that like it's okay to be fun, and it's okay to be whatever, yourself and everything like that. But like, just always be kind of intentional and mindful, because you have a reputation that you're building and you're kind of constructing, and it's something I learned for sure, but it took me a minute.
And I think, just to kind of echo on that a little bit, Ben, it's also to allow yourself not to fail, but to be open to different things in life. When I first came in this industry, I was an accountant. I mean,
Wow.
think about that for a minute. I was
That's
an
wild.
accountant. Yeah. I was an accountant because that's what my dad wanted me to be. And I went down that path, and I got my accounting degree, and I started in a relocation company as an accounting manager and worked through the closings and all that stuff back in 1983, for gosh sake. And then I went into account management, and I thought, oh, I had found my dream job. And it wasn't until later that somebody really pushed me and said, you'd be great in sales. And I was like, I can't do that. I don't like that. I don't want to have that pressure. But having all of that behind me, that great foundation, if you will, is what created me the opportunity to do something that was so out of my realm of what I visualized myself. So what does that come to? And you knew we couldn't have a session, Ben, without having that limiting belief, right?
100%.
I mean, I had that limiting belief that there was no way I could be a salesperson. And when finally I had some people that were very close to me that were really good salespeople, and they said, Sandy, you can do this. And then when I believed myself, then I was able to change. But I didn't do that until 1984. So there was a good 11 years in there that I didn't do that.
Wow.
And so from that standpoint, it really made a change in who I was. But if there's one piece of advice, is remove those limiting beliefs and think about where you can go, not where you can't go.
Yeah, I love that. And I love that now, like you told me once that you just love coaching female salespeople and
I do.
inspiring them to go get it
Mhm.
and go do it and go be, and I just think that's so cool because kind of to Sandy Beyer's point, like somebody did that for you once, that's
Right.
super cool.
Well, I can say I didn't really get any early career advice, but what I wish I had gotten earlier in my career was pause. It's okay to pause. I found myself always being very, you need this? Okay, I'll get it. You need this? Okay, I'll get it. And like being very reactionary and very like, trying to be quick to respond, thinking that that is the way to go, versus pausing. Well, why do you need this? And if you need this, do you need this and that as well? And then being able to come with like a better, more, comprehensive response. So I wish somebody had given me this earlier in my career, that it's okay to pause and ask the right questions versus just react and try to be on top of everything all of the time. So
I love that.
for anybody, it's okay to pause.
Mhm.
I love that, because aren't we all like on the email treadmill, like the email like hamster wheel, and we're just like,
Yeah.
and we just think it's a game. We have to respond within 60 minutes or something, or else we're terrible people.
Yeah.
Hey, Erika.
Yeah, and I think for myself, it'd be little pieces of both, because I think when the primary one would be it's okay not to know things. I think that would be the primary, because I've always came up, at school, I studied human physiology. So I was thought like, oh, I have this trajectory I'm on. I have to follow the steps and I have to do everything exactly. And I never really kind of took the time to see like, oh, what do I envision myself doing? Or is this still the right move and such? So I think when if I would have gone back, maybe I would have gone maybe undecided, and that being okay to see maybe what majors are out there. But overall, I think it also helped me just be open to what opportunities have come. So I think in mobility, a lot of us find ourselves just kind of falling into the industry. And that's certainly what happened with me as well. And I think it's just that it's okay for you to maybe be a little bit uncertain of maybe what your 10-year plan is. It's also good to just let things happen and be open to kind of natural evolution of things, and being okay with not always knowing the answer, having exactly what you want. I think accepting help from others too. So yeah.
I love that, Erika. I love that. Both, we think we want to go to school and study one thing because we think that's the pathway to happiness and prosperity and all the things, and the expectation, right? The accountant,
Exactly.
right? The expectation,
Yeah.
right? And I talk to so many young people that are in college and they're like, I'm going to be an engineer. I am going to be a computer science person. And then you talk to them 2 years later and they, I am absolutely miserable. I cannot stand my life. I hate this. And I am counting down the days to retirement, at 24. And you're like, oh God, have some joy, And I understand the need for certainty, right? To Sandy's point, but it's like, oh man, allow some serendipity too. Allow for some flexibility and pursue some passions, right? It's like why we do, general education classes in the first half of school, and we specialize later, right? So I love that. And then you said something also that I loved, that you said, not knowing the answer, and it's okay to not know, just how Sandy Beyer so talking about it's okay to pause. I remember sitting in a boardroom, in a C-suite, and I'm like 26 years old. I really didn't, belong in that room necessarily, but I realized later I was there as a scapegoat. So like they could just point at me when something went wrong, and so nobody else took the hit, but I would sit next to the senior vice president, and who I reported to for some reason. And he would be, and they would ask him a very pointed question about a statistic or a number or data point or whatever. And he'd be like, I don't know. I don't know. I just don't know. And I'm like, I did not know you could say that. I didn't know that was an option. I didn't know I could not know. And I'm over here scrambling and tap dancing and trying to come up with an answer and everybody knows I'm full of it. Right. But I'm trying to just, figure it out. And he's just, I don't know, or I'll get that to you later, or, whatever. Anyway, I'm loving what y'all are sharing here.
That's true.
People are getting in the comments here. We're going to play a game here quickly. And, but before, so let's just check in with some folks. Hey, get in the comments, y'all. Let everybody know how they're doing. We're loving this conversation here. Heather says, Sandy, I agree. I always said I wasn't in sales until I realized it. I was, and I owned it. Love that.
Yeah.
This is great. Mel saying, thinking I can go love that where you can't. Okay. Let's see here. We got people checking in here. I'm going to get up here a little bit here. Sorry, I don't have my mouse today. I'm mouseless here. We got people checking in, loving this conversation. This is great. Lynn Greenberg wishes she knew the questions to ask. Yep. Super great. This is fantastic. Hey, you know what? Let's oh gosh. Daisy's got a good question. You know what? Fine, Daisy. Fine, let's do it. Let's do it. What advice would you give someone middle career that is trying to stay engaged and not burn out? One sentence, lightning round here. Lightning round.
I'd say take your
Erika.
PTO would be my number one. Take it consistently. Yeah.
There you go. Good one.
I would say talk to your coach or your mentor. If you're not finding joy, you need to regroup and get some guidance on that.
Love it.
Agree. Find where your intention life design is really about, because quite frankly, we all think we're, running that rat race, and we're just getting ahead because we're busier and busier and busier, and it just burns you out to no end. And when you can exhale and breathe and realize this is the direction I'm going in, then definitely that's where that middle career, I think it's a pivotal part of where everybody's challenges are later in life, is how they handle that middle career.
Mm. Yeah. And Daisy, I would say there's things that fill your cup and there's things that drain you. And I'd say don't be good at things that drain you and be great at things that fill your cup.
Mm-hmm.
You'll find more of those opportunities.
And same thing with people.
Ooh, so that's a whole nother podcast.
I know.
Hey, let's get into. I know I've got you over time here, but I'm gonna keep you here for a second. We're gonna play a game because everybody wants to see it. Hit that like button. Get in the comments. We're playing a game. Y'all ready? We're gonna be fast about it. Okay. It's called overrated, underrated. All right. Y'all ready? I can feel the collective tension right now in the room. Okay, here it goes. Overrated, underrated. I'm going to give you a topic. You are going to tell me if it is either overrated or underrated, and we're going to go quick here. And you can justify your answer, but we don't care. I'm going to tell you if you're right at the end. By the way, the whole thing was really warm and fuzzy and inclusive and great, and everyone's right. But now I'm the decider. There's only one right answer. It's a contest. Here we go. Overrated, underrated. Getting to the airport 2 hours early, overrated or underrated? Thumbs up or thumbs down? I like the thumbs up, thumbs down. Erika's a buyer. She's an up. You know what? Overrated. I'm Sandy on this one. Maybe we're just travel pros, Sandy. That's what it is, I guess. Although, with TSA being what it was, I had to do this in San Juan, but man, it really grind my gears. I'll tell you what. All right, next one. Overrated, underrated, checking a bag.
Underrated.
Underrated, yeah.
Thumbs up or thumbs down?
Down.
Down, under.
I love it. Am I the only one with a lot of shoes? I can't be the only one with a lot of shoes, okay? Jeez. No, I got podcast gear and stuff. Everyone hates the bag check person, but you know what? Full disclosure up front, you'll be fine. Okay. Next one. Overrated, underrated, icebreakers.
So this is like it's underrated. Icebreakers are underrated.
No, that means it's overrated because you don't like it. We're gonna switch the topic.
I'm
It's
so
thumbs
confused.
up or thumbs down. You know what? We're gonna switch it on the fly. It's my show. I do what I want. It's gonna be thumbs down or thumbs up. If you like it, you thumbs up it. If you don't like it, you thumbs down it. All right? Icebreakers.
I love icebreakers.
They're necessary. Yeah.
I think they're corny, but they work.
Yeah.
I love them.
Did we just get a thumbs?
They've got to be the right one, but I love it.
Yeah. What's your favorite icebreaker, Beyer?
Who would you have dinner with?
Dead or alive, or just alive?
Yeah.
Okay.
Dead or alive, yeah.
Okay. All right. Who would you have dinner with, dead or alive? Sandy Beyer.
Jon Stewart.
Ooh, that'd be a fun one. All right, let's keep it moving. I like that. I'll give that a thumbs up. All right, next one. Last one. Overrated, underrated. Creating a 5-year plan for yourself.
Oh.
Say underrated.
Wait, but that means we like it.
I'm gonna say I think it's I'm gonna thumbs down this. Sandy, I'm surprised you thumbs down this.
Well, because you don't have to have a 5-year plan. You can life design what you want to look at, but gosh, it's gonna change. Even for me in retirement, it's gonna change probably every 6 months, let alone every year. 5 years? I'm just hoping I'm on this side of the ground 5 years from now.
I was gonna say that's the illusion of control, right? 5-year plan, like forget about it. Imagine creating a 5-year plan and then COVID happens.
But,
yeah. No, I think it's great to have goals, though. I mean, goals are great, right? Because then you wake up and you've accomplished them. But but gosh, I hear so many people like, oh, I wanted to own a home by 30. I wanted to be married by 30, or I wanted to be a VP by 40. Whatever, fill in the blank, right? And then you're just upset. You just feel
that's a piece of advice. My 91-year-old father, who my mom and dad turned 91 in November, just had their 70th wedding anniversary last week. My dad used to say to me, and always has said to me, what's important to you today, 5 years from now, will not be that very important to you. Wow. And I can tell you it has come true my entire life.
Yeah, that's great. Sharina, can we get rid of this banner? It's over my face. Thanks so much. All right. No, that's phenomenal, Sandy. I really like that. Heather Jameson's throwing one out there. Favorite icebreaker, first record or CD you bought with your own money? Huh. Does anyone remember that?
I do.
What is it?
I bought Thriller.
Mine was a Michael Jackson Bad, probably the Bad album.
That was my first album. Yep. Vinyl. I'm that old. Yes.
Vinyl.
Yep.
Okay. Feel ya. It's a good one. Awesome. Well, this is fun. I could talk to y'all forever. I can't wait to see the contest at WERC in Chicago. And I'm going to check out that sponsorship opportunity. If there's anything I can do to further support the Momentum Mentorship Program, I'd be honored to do so. So yeah, I'm really impressed with what y'all have built in season 2.
And remember that the contest is the day before the conference actually starts. It's usually that Tuesday. Come to the session. You will be amazed at the outcome of the session.
Tuesday. That's a good note, because some of
Isn't that correct,
Tuesday
Erika?
evening.
Isn't it Tuesday? I'm pretty sure that's where it was last year in Salt Lake. So
Yes, I believe so. I'm just confirming here.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's
So
good to
we
know.
are Tuesday at 2 to 4 p.m. Pacific time.
Tuesday 2 to 4.
Yeah,
And is
4
that
p.m.
part of your
Central.
WERC Global registration? You get you into that?
Yep. And it'll be part of the program details too, so you can see exactly what room it's in and such.
Awesome. Love that. Well, I will see y'all there. Sandy, and Erika, it's been a real pleasure.
Thank you
Bob.
so much.
Yeah.
Thanks,
thank you for
everybody. Thanks for
having me.
being here. Hit that
Thanks,
like button, get in the
everybody.
comments, y'all.
Good to
Take
see
care.
ya.
See you later.